Hello and welcome back to the GorillaBiker, and today we have a very special bike for a first ride. It is a 2020 BMW S1000XR. This is my uncle's new bike, so if you've been around long enough to remember the video I did on the old XR, that was also my uncle's bike. This is his new one, he upgraded it. So this is the ice grey model, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to run through a couple of the changes in around the engine, the ergonomics and everything else. We're also going to talk about how comfortable it is, the power, how it handles, how it brakes, and all the extras that are on it, which are a lot. A couple of other things I feel I should mention before we jump out onto the road is the bike still has the stock tyres, which are Metzeler Rotax 01s. I've used them before on another bike and they were really excellent, so they should be fine. I have already ridden this bike a little bit to get used to it, so while it is a first ride video, these are my first impressions. Obviously I did take it out to get a bit used to it and see, you know, how it felt over a little bit of extra time, so I wasn't just giving you a bit of nonsense, non-sometry. When I rode the first version of this back in 2019, I was blown away by it. I thought at the time, and I still think right now, that it is the best all-round bike I've ever ridden. So it's going to be very interesting to see can this one beat it. Okay, so we are now out on the road on the S1000XR, and where we're going to start is, oh god damn it, where we always start. Hello BMW brethren. So basically, first off the bat, it's a completely redesigned tank and seat and everything else, and just first impressions are it is still very comfortable, but for a taller person with a wider buttocks like myself, it is ever so slightly less comfortable on the behind. Now, a couple of things that I have noticed is everything is kind of different now. So the handlebars are also different. They're thinner looking, which obviously doesn't make much difference to the comfort. Oh, you could get into trouble on this bike, but we're going to take it handy until we get to the power section, when I'll be talking about the power. But a couple of things definitely that I like straight off the bat is I've never really been a proponent for cruise control, but look, turn it on and we're just going to cruise. Like, I'm not going to lie, it's kind of nice that for changing the mode, you know, you only want to take your finger off the accelerator throttle and then press it. And same with heated grips, like you can reach them, but you're not going to get those with your thumb. It's really uncomfortable to try to get them with your thumb. But it's, you know, so you're going to have to kind of throttle off and do it that way, which is, look, it's fine, it's just kind of different. And you know, and then over on the left, it's much more, this is to be used with your thumb while you're riding. So like you can pop that on with your thumb, you can pop it into cruise control, you know, you got your button for your fog lights, you got your button for your menu, you can scroll up and down through your menu, you know, pop left and right like with the controls, pop down into sport, just hit menu down again. So all of that stuff is really comfortable. We're just going to pop it back into normal mode there for a minute, and I can't complain. And to just take it out of cruise, you just literally just tap the brake, like you just need to touch them. Instantly your cruise turns off and all the control is back over to you. So it's really nice that way. Comfort and ergonomics wise, it's all really usable. The horn which is something that is a pet peeve of mine. Sometimes the horn on bikes, it's far too close to your indicator, so you end up accidentally beeping at people all of the time. Not so on this one. It's an appreciatively far away from, you know, it's kind of, you'd have to go down and in to hit it, so that's nice. And the indicators are also really easy to hit and push, and the Tft display, which we'll get to in a second because this is part of your comfort, is also incredibly clear. So, you know, what else do you get? You got these kind of bark busters, which are actually really nice. I popped off my gloves earlier just to test them, and I mean, I could barely feel the wind, so they work, you know what I mean? They work. That's the important thing with them. What else have we then? So my legs, and again, just to get this out for this sitting section, I am 6'7", and weigh around about 270-280 pounds. Or if you want to put it into European numbers, I'm 200 centimeters tall and I weigh around about 120 something kg, 26 kg we'll say, I think, something like that. Other things that do make a little bit of difference to the comfort, the new seat, like if you lean back in it, it's really nice. It's like a cup shape. I'll throw up a little thing, clip on the screen now, and it just kind of holds you in it. It's lovely. And the brake levers are the same as the last ones. Everything is just nice, but you kind of expect that from a bike that is a 2020 model and costs upwards of 19,000 euro to buy. And I'll put other numbers on the screen for other countries and places, but it is an exceptionally comfortable bike, definitely. But like I said, just the new seat design, while it is nice, I have a feeling over long distance, and I'll update this at the very end of the video as we do this ride if I'm wrong, I have a feeling it might put pressure, just a little bit of pressure on my lower back over time, but I'm not sure. It's hard to know, very hard to know, but as of right now it is absolutely delicious, deliciously comfortable. Oh, look at that, so pretty out here, so pretty. Look at all the rapeseed, boom. Oh, actually, that's something else I will mention before we just pull in. The bike is also very, very comfortable to stand on, which I know isn't a big deal because this is a sports tour, it's not a tourer. But certainly I think it's worth mentioning that it is very, very comfortable, you know, from the perspective of standing on it. Other nice little touches which aren't really ergonomic, I suppose, but they're more kind of for the rider's comfort, is it is keyless. I have the key in here, which is a nice little touch, and obviously your button and all that stuff is there. So one thing that I did want to point out is how tall this bike is. It has a seat height of 850 millimeters, I think. And to put it into perspective, I'll try show you in a second. When I sit down on this and I put my foot down, I can flat foot one side. That's the alarm thing. This is the only annoying thing. I'll get to that later. But when I sit down on this, I can flat foot both sides, okay? But it's not like I'm flat footing it with, you know, miles of room to spare. So if you are a shorter rider, this could be a bit of a hefty bike to handle, because it's not, no, it's not super light. It's 226 kg wet, which obviously isn't, also it's not very heavy. But when you combine that weight, and it's all up here on its shoulders and stuff, it is actually, like, you can tell it's a heavy bike between your legs. So that's something to bear in mind, that I just wanted to make sure you knew. And this is the kind of the cupped seat I was talking about. So you do very much sit into it rather than onto it. And then the last thing I'll mention on ergonomics is if you have a bit of a belly, you don't got much space here between there and the plastic cover on the tank. So if you do have a bit of a belly, that might be a concern for you. Just pointing it out. From a first ride perspective, is a very comfortable bike. I would just think that I might get a little bit uncomfortable in my lower back over long distance, but really the only way to tell that is by going long distance, which I'm obviously not going to do today. So then we're going to get to the power, but just off the bat, this has 165 brake horsepower and 80 something pound-feet. I think it's 81.2 pound-feet of torque. European numbers on the screen now, and you know it, this thing is a monster on the road, which we're going to do now. So the power, currently we're in road mode, you can see on the screen there. We'll change it up to dynamic in a minute, but first what I'll do when we're moving is I'm going to just pop it into rain mode. So finger off, rain, because I haven't actually tried rain yet, but it doesn't kill it down much. It definitely does dull the throttle response a little bit, but I don't think it's taking a lot of power or anything. But the thing about rain mode is, it's not rainy, so we're going back to road mode. We'll start there. Also, to go into the different modes, you do have to, you can have the throttle open, you can change your mode, and then you have to close the throttle to confirm it. But the other thing is that this does have, which you know is important for the power delivery, it has an up-down clutchless shifter, so quick shifter, and it is amazing. I'll show you now. So here we go. So just clutchless shifting down. I'm just hitting the gear. So there you go. See? And it is, you do have to have the throttle closed a little bit, but going up, throttle open. And quick shifter does not work when your throttle is quick shifter up gears does not work when your throttle is open. No, sorry, closed. So when you have the throttle closed, you can't go up. You can only go down, like so. So that was the acceleration in road mode, and I mean, I wasn't even maxing this thing out because I'm kind of scared of it, but let's go to dynamic. Now there is also a dynamic plus mode, which isn't turned on in this bike yet. It's not my bike, and I have to say I did like dynamic. It just kind of sharpens everything up. You do feel the road a lot more, because obviously it does also affect the suspension. But it just sharpens everything up, the inputs, the gear shifts. And as I said with the S1000XR, the last generation I reviewed, I said I can definitely see you getting into trouble on this thing. And I can still see someone getting into trouble on this thing very easily, especially with the quick shifter. The quick shifter just makes you a MotoGP rider instantly. So let's change it into the sportier looking thing. So there you go, we have it now. I wish there was a way to hide your speed from, you know, stuff. But we're going to drop down to second, and we'll do another pull here. I'm going to swap you onto the rear camera, and here we go. Oh my god, that is that is a fast machine. That's all I will say. It is a quick bike, and you know, it's kind of crazy to me that there's just so much power in what is a touring machine. We'll go again. Whoa. This thing just pulls, and it, you know, it's the same as the first version, the first model of this bike. It's just so fast, but like the quick shifter and everything, it's just it's just astounding. That's the only way to put it. This thing is unbelievable. It's unbelievably good. It's just incredible. Now I want to talk next about the brakes and handling that I've noticed so far. And just going through town here, it is still in dynamic. I will say that this bike handles like a dream. It's once, like I said, when you're stopped, you can tell it's a heavy bike on its feet. But as soon as you go you know, out onto the open road and start moving, it becomes a lot lighter. And I haven't tried it over speed bumps or anything yet, but we're going to try now. I don't think it'll be very crashy. Okay, that's quite firm. Let's go down to road. So we're in road. That is actually noticeably less crashy. You know, for the brake test, which we're going to do up here, I'm just going to pop it back into this one.
we're going to go back to dynamic. So open the throttle, close the throttle, back in dynamic, and we're going to brake down the hill like I did before on the Gixxer. Now that is some controlled braking. I will say, you know, I wasn't going crazy fast there, but we'll try it here. It's 100. And I got the ABS to come on there, and you can really feel the ABS, and it's it's just controlled. It's like I've kicked on the ABS on my own Honda CBF once or twice, and it doesn't feel like that. That's just kind of like, you know, it kicks in. It's like, hey, I'm gonna take over here for a second because you seem to be being an idiot on purpose, and I'm just going to make us stop in a more controlled manner. Whereas the CBF, it doesn't come on until very, very late, and then goes ga-dung, 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 ga-dung. So it's just a nicer way to do it. Now, I think it's 320mm dual rotors up front with BMW branded calipers. So they're 4 piston calipers each side. Oh, here we go. We'll go up again, a little bit faster, and brake. It just stops. They're incredibly good, the brakes on this, I have to say. And that front wheel just always wants to come up on dynamic. But yeah, right, so is it comfortable on the suspension? Yes. Does it just glide through the corners? Yes. Is it also really nice when you're just cruising like this? Yes. Does it stop? Yeah. It stops like all the traffic on the Suez Canal did when Mr. Boaty McBoatface blocked it up. But they're just really good anchors. And when you consider that this is a tall bike, it has a high center of gravity, it just stops like that. It's crazy. I know I shouldn't be surprised. I know this is a modern bike, but I'm still surprised. It's still incredibly impressive. The other thing I want to mention about just how controllable this bike is, you know, around the brakes and suspension and all that stuff is, you know, where your feet are, it's a really good position to control it. The handlebars make it very, because they're quite a wide handlebar, they make it very easy to, you know, get the leverage around. The other thing I want to say is how it handles the power in the bends. Like, you can get it right the way down. It always lets you feel like you're in control, even though this does have the 6-axis inertial measurement unit thing. That means, you know, I have cornering stability, I have cornering traction control, I have cornering ABS and all that cornering dependent stuff. It's all there, it's all looking after me all the time, but it's really not invasive, which is really nice. And even, you know, when you're pushing it on a bit, the clutchless downshifts and whatnot, it just makes it like so nice. Like these corners here, it's just an absolute dream to ride this bike, slow or fast. And honestly, I have to take my hat off to BMW, because I really like the last one, and I'll be honest, I came out here today expecting to say, you know, I don't see why you'd upgrade. I don't know why my uncle upgraded, but no, I get it. This thing is an improvement, and it's not like it's a small improvement. It's small improvements everywhere. One last thing I would like to mention, obviously, before we move on completely from power and torque and brake and suspension, apologies, is this throttle by wire throttle. So all of my bikes are throttle by cables. Okay, now if you don't know the difference, throttle by cables, throttle cables is a physically push and pull or open and close of the throttle. Throttle by wire is you twist here and an electric impulse or signal is sent and goes to your main control unit, and all that's how everything is handled through that. The stones on the road, god damn it. So obviously it makes a bit of a difference to the feel, but when I rode the first one, I did notice it was a little bit jerky. There was a little delay in the throttle response. Not so bad in dynamic mode, but now I know I'm in dynamic mode, But this is definitely a superior upgrade. This one, I don't know what they did with it. I know they changed it, but whatever magic they did in the Wizard magic box of electronics, it's definitely worked. I'm very impressed. We'll go down this way. Now, while I change back around my cameras, we'll go back to me for aesthetics at the house.
So what about the aesthetics? Like I said before in the video, this is the ice grey model. It is completely redesigned from everything from just how the seat looks into the fake tank, all the way to the front of the bike. It is a completely redesigned machine, looks entirely different, and has obviously that beautiful 6.5-inch Tft display. So, I mean, how does it look out in the road? Quite similar. The bars are definitely narrower, they're less beefy, so it looks, to me, it looks like a smaller bike. It doesn't feel like a smaller bike, but it looks like a smaller bike. And you know, definitely there's a lot going on the new screen. It is it's simple in a way, but when you get into playing with it, there's a lot in the menus, and it looks gorgeous. Even you can see how sunny it is here today, and it still looks really good. Do I prefer it to the older model? I'm not sure, to be honest. I think this particular colour is beautiful. I really like it. The front, I kind of liked the old front, and I kind of liked how the old bars looked in front of you. And I also I just really love analog displays, so that half analog display in the old bike, I did like it. And the shift light, you know, the one that actually physically flashed, was really cool. The TFT display is beautiful. There's no getting around that, and it works really well. It works great in direct sunlight. It has all the options, but for me, I actually think I prefer the analog display. That's just completely personal preference. There's nothing wrong with that TFT display. I just prefer how an analog display looks. But definitely the digital part of it, obviously the TFT beats the living daylights out of it. So if you were to take them on balance, you know, the 50% analog, 50% crappy digital display, or this TFT, I think I'd probably go with the TFT. The other thing is as well, obviously this is a keyless model, which some people like, some people don't like. You have a little compartment right here that you can kind of store your key in easily, which obviously is good in a way, and then you have the button. So you do lose that key in front of you, which again, I can see myself leaving my key in my bike a lot, just because it is handy to have it out of your pockets. But in the grand scheme of things, I think it probably does make the cockpit area look that little bit cleaner with no key sticking out anywhere. I do like how they've done the fairings. I think the fairings are very pretty. I think the bike overall is very, very good looking. The wheels are nice. The front end is lovely. Like I said, I had a thing for the old front end, but if you take this as not a redesign, just take it as its own thing, I do think that the new front end is very, very beautiful. And you know, you have to remember that where you're looking at this bike from is right here, this spot right here. And from the rider's perspective, or a rider's perspective, I think it's really, really nice. It's still the same, you know, you still have that small cut down screen on the front. It's not a huge big bastion shield, which I don't think anyone really likes. And you know, you still have all your nice little bits on the handlebars with the BMW inlays and stuff like that. And the controls are busy, but they're not too busy. They could be worse. I've seen worse. I think the older BMW models were worse. And everything is quite easy to use, so it's very intuitive. But you know, you would have heard about that in the other parts of the video. So yeah, overall, I mean, not really anything I can hit it on from aesthetics. I really like it, and I think the fact that they've removed that front end, which was, you know, very much a love it or hate it type of front end, I think they've done themselves a favour, because really there's not a whole pile anyone can complain about anymore. The only thing I will say is what they've done is they've made the front end inoffensive. Whether that's a good or a bad thing remains to be seen, because I think while the older front end did obviously have its detractors, it did make the bike stand out that bit more. It made it different, and that was something that I liked about it personally. But you know, they've nailed it. The bike is beautiful. The frame, you know, even the frame pieces are beautiful. The frame covers, the tank area is beautiful. The seat area with the little XR inlay is beautiful. It's a good looking bike.
Welcome back from me. So what I want to talk about as well before we get moving again is the optional extras and extras that are on this. So What you do have obviously is ABS, which is pretty much on everything now. This one has the LED running lights here, which you would have probably seen already as part of the aesthetics. It has all the intelligent, fancy adjustable suspension control, which is obviously nice. It has an up and down quick shifter. It has LED indicators. It has, you know, LED headlights. It has LED brake lights as far as I know. I think it's LED anyway. What else does it have? It also has a six-axis IMU, which is what gives you your traction control as you lean, your adjustable ABS as you lean. It gives you your wheelie control. All that good stuff is from that. When we start it up, what do we have is, because of, you know, all our electronic fancy gizmos, we have 3 adjustable ride modes. We have heated grips, 3 settings you can see there. They're off. We have our ride modes. We have rain, road, dynamic. You can also get a dynamic plus. I prefer dynamic as it's not turned on. We have cruise control, which works really nicely, and it's actually quite nice to use. And you have a 2-position windscreen right there. I found the buffeting off it quite bad up that high, but I am tall. You can get boxes. My uncle just bought the boxes for this as well, the panniers and also the top box. And to be honest, I think they look really nice with it. Other than that, though, so it's not a crazy amount of extras. It's a lot of extras. But I suppose it's nearly a standard offering at this point in time that there's this much stuff on the bike. So what do I think of all the optional extras? Well, look, we'll turn on the cruise control here. So it's on. It's actually really nice. So I have to say, cruise control is something I still don't really trust, and it's weird. I've never actually properly used before, but it's an odd one because it's just nice. It just kind of works. It works really well, and I'm perfectly comfortable using it. The ride modes, then we'll just turn that off and turn it back on so I can have it if I want it. The ride modes, then, like I said, it's quite easy to change between them, and they do make a noticeable difference. So if we go back to rain here, you press the button, rain, close the throttle, it's in rain. So you literally change the mode, open the throttle, close the throttle, and it's changed. And I have to say, in rain mode, everything just relaxes, everything just calms down. The same with the heated grips. Obviously I do not need them today, it is far too warm to have them on, but I'll just turn them on for a second while we look at them. They heat up quite quickly and they are noticeably on. They're not too hot by any means. Now they're getting a little bit warm. So they heat up quick. They would be lovely, to be honest, on my commute to work. Look, I like analog screens, but I can't deny that thing is a masterpiece. It's so crisp, you know, it's so nice out in the sun. I can't believe, like, I'm in direct sunlight and it is completely readable. There has not been one point that I've been like trying to squint or move my face in. So that, as an upgrade, I have to say, well done BMW. It worked. But those are the extras. Then the cost. So in Ireland, you can expect to pay around about €20,000 for one of these. I'll put the exact price up on the screen, which is by no means cheap. You know, I've been singing this bike's praises the whole video, but realistically, if there was actually anything wrong with this bike, it would be absolutely ridiculous, because the price that they are charging for you, you know, they want to be handing you this, you know, this spaceship that a monkey could fly. You know what I mean? This is 100% a bike that if you buy it and walk out, you should expect it to be perfect. You should expect it to serve your dinner for you. You should expect it to drive you to the pub and bring you home again. You know what I mean? Give you a back massage after a long day's ride. It's just, it should do those things. You know what I mean? If it doesn't, there's something wrong. You know what I mean? There's something wrong. If you spend that much money on a bike, it should be perfect. So let's talk about who this bike is for. So this bike is for someone, I think, who likes touring, like I'm doing right now, but at a moment's notice they want to drop a gear and do this. With absolutely no fuss. You know, so I think that's who it's for, like, because it's just calm now again, and it's still in dynamic, but literally, this is the type of bike that, you know, it's for the person who used to ride sports bikes all the time and really likes that power and speed, but also kind of wants comfort and the ability to tour and have something that's, you know, good at tour and isn't too, you know, bad on fuel, etc. They want that too, and I think that's something that this bike gives you. It gives you the power, you know, it gives you the dynamism when you want it. It gives you the speed when you want it. But at no point is it, you know, only one of those things. So it's for someone, I think, who likes touring, who likes having a relaxed spin to work, and then likes being an absolute head case on the way home. I think that's who this bike is for.
And we're back at the house. Is there anything I don't like about this bike then? Is there any negatives to it? Not really. I've been really struggling to think of any. The seat, I went out, actually, you might see it's evening here now. I actually went out again when I got back and put another few miles on it just to see how that seat did fare, and it stayed comfortable. So my concerns around it becoming uncomfortable in my lower back were unfounded. It didn't happen. So that was really the only thing I could have said I was even nearly concerned about, that something I was going to not like, but it didn't materialise. Now, maybe on longer journeys it would, but I mean, there aren't any negatives. So just to recap really quick, the comfort is really good. The seat didn't get uncomfortable. You're at a lovely position with your arms on these handlebars. The handlebars are comfortable. All of the switch gear is comfortable to use. Obviously, you do have to, you know, physically remove your hand from some things. My cat just jumped up on the fence over there. You have to physically remove your hands to use the right hand side and stuff, which I went through already. The power and torque, like this engine and gearbox combination is a masterpiece. It is unbelievably good for like a sport touring motorcycle. You know, I even stopped at one point, and it's not on video for reasons, and I did a quick pull from 0 to fast, and I mean, the front wheel was lifting the whole time, but the control electronics did their job, and it just kept it settled. It is insanely fast, and those control electronics essentially exceed my ability as a rider and make me look better than I am. So, you know, that could be a negative to some people, that the electronics on these newer models of bikes in general are gone so good that, you know, if you're relatively new and you don't know your limits, you could get into trouble very quickly. So that's a possible negative, but whether you actually consider it a negative or not is really depends on who you are as a person. Me, I'm okay with it because obviously I ride my other bikes that 2 of them have no assist whatsoever and 1 of them just has ABS. So really hard to point a finger at a negative. You know, the looks wise, I think they've done a really good job on the updated looks, because the old bike I really liked, and I still think I like that different front end. I think the fact that the different front end is there, it gave it something. But the new front end with the beak and stuff also looks really, really good. So you really can't take away from it. BMW took this. They did a full redesign, they updated everything, and I think they nailed it. You know, the engine is really good, the gearbox is magnificent, the looks are really nice. The seating position is, if you're a heavier human, maybe not so good, but the bucket's very comfortable, and you know, all the ergonomics are very, very comfortable. It's definitely more aimed for one rider though. I don't think this is particularly a 2-up touring machine. You know, what else? Braking and suspension. The upside down Marzocchi front forks are really good. I know they're not like the best on the market, but I think they work really, really well, and you know, they have all that electronically adjust damping and everything else, so they work really well for the entire package. The braking is really good. I think I was looking at it and kind of playing around with it. I think you can actually change the setting for how early the ABS comes on. And I definitely felt when I did those brake tests that when the ABS kicked in, I definitely had more in my own hand to kind of control. So if you play around with that, you can definitely stop quicker as well. I just saw it in the settings that you can adjust that, so that's definitely something that if I had one, I'd definitely do. What else? The extras, I mean, you have cruise control, traction control, ABS, up down quick shifter, You have everything. Heated grips. You know, you have the mount for the sat nav if you want it. You have the TFT display, which lots of people like. I personally prefer analog clocks. I would personally go for something like the Suzuki Hayabusa. If I was to pick clocks and stick them on here, that's just personal taste. The TFT display is really good and gives you lots and lots of detail, so really can't take away from it there. Keyless, take it or leave it. I'm not really bothered about it. It's fine, but it's not something that if it wasn't on the bike, I'd lose sleep over. And I suppose the stock sound, that's one thing I should call out. So this is a Cat 5 compliant bike, and due to that, the stock sound is kind of not good down low. It's very ticky down low, but once you get up in the revs, it wakes up and sounds fantastic. So I don't know what magic BMW did with the gearbox, with the exhaust and cat and stuff, and the big bread box down there, to make this Cat 5 compliant. But whatever they did do, it does sound excellent when you're up in the revs. So I mean, that's where you want your bike to sound good anyway, really. And obviously, down low would be good. So I think a full system on one of these would probably sound phenomenal. And yeah, I mean, I already talked about who this bike is for, and would I buy one? If you gave me enough money to buy this bike and said buy whatever bike you want, currently I would buy a Suzuki Hayabusa if I still had my current stable of bikes. If you were to tell me, here's the money that will cover an S1000XR, you can only have one bike and you need to use it for the track and for touring and for two-up and for going to work, sensible spins and fast spins, etc. You can't really look past one of these. This thing is incredible. It's obviously, I haven't ridden the Ducati Multistrada, the V4, the new one, or even the older one. I haven't ridden either of those, but I think from a sports touring perspective, like a true sports tourer, like this kicks the living daylights out of my CBF, which is obviously unsurprising, but I don't know of anything else out there other than the Multistrada that could beat this all around. So yeah, I'd probably have to buy it, really, or the Multistrada, but they're probably more reliable than the Ducati. I'm basing that off stereotypes. So if you have watched, thank you very much for watching. If this is your first time here, please consider hitting the subscribe button and setting the bell to all so you see all of my future videos. If you like this video, please hit the like button. If you dislike the video, feel free to hit the dislike button and let me know in the comments. Either way, leave me a comment to let me know why you did or did not like the video. And would you buy one of these if you could afford it? Or would you like to buy one just in your mind parts? Let me know. And yeah, thank you very much for watching. A special thank you as always to my patrons. Really appreciate the support you give this channel. To be honest, I don't know what I'd still be doing without the patrons, so you mean a lot. And yeah, until next time, thank you very much for watching. Adios. Outro crew, what do you think of the colour? Would you get the ice grey, or would you get the red and black one, or the M Sport one? Personally, that's my favourite colour. I would have gotten it in that one. If I went and bought one, I'd get it in the ice grey. It looks very like Nardo grey, but they call it ice grey. It's gorgeous. It to be honest, I don't think the camera's doing it justice. That is a really nice colour. It's a really nice bike. Bye.